Hey, this is Chris, and these parts are going to be welded together to make a trapezoidal shaped spare tire mount for underneath of my trailer. Let's get welding.
Welding!
In the background, you'll hear a lot of humming, and the welder unit itself has a loud fan on it that's blowing, so that's always going in the background. And I also have my door open on my workshop to the outside to vent the welding gas and get some fresh air inside. Here I'm making an adjustment to either the temperature or the speed of the metal that comes out of the tip of the welder.
Welding! Welding!
You'll see me be very deliberate when I put down the welding gun itself because if you notice, the red handle on it is very sensitive to being touched, and I also always have to make sure that I set the welder down so it doesn't trigger the gun to either have electricity flowing and or have the metal flux coming out of the middle of it. So I always take care to lay it down sideways as best I can. That's why I'm always kind of flipping it around and being very careful.
Welding! Welding! Welding!
The diagonal pieces, I hadn't made a good plan for how to stick them together. So in order to have them be on an angle, I'm just using a clamp here. And then I'll tack weld the corners of them, because if you weld a whole long stretch of metal, it can easily move out of shape. The metal will literally start to bend and move as you weld it because of all the heat going into one side and not the other. So I'm going to tack the corners to kind of keep it in place, and then I'll go the whole length of the joint. In a second, you'll see me snip off the end of the wire that's coming out of the welding gun, because sometimes when you're done welding, a little ball will form and you want a nice little spike to start off. So I cut off the little ball first.
Welding! Welding! Welding!
Even if there's nobody around, I'm in the habit of, like I've had my friend do for me, say welding out loud, so anybody in the room or in the vicinity knows that there's going to be a spark and a flash, and not to look over in your direction.
Welding. Welding.
And now that it's all together and all the joints are welded, I'm going to take it over and grind off some of the excess and clean up some of the corners so they're not sharp. So I've got that yellow bucket there, yellow cat litter bucket, to catch the sparks, because literally as you're grinding, tiny particles of metal come off into this fine metal dust, and you want to catch that because otherwise it ends up going all over the workshop and all over the place. And also those metal sparks obviously are very hot, and you don't want them to touch anything and start burning it either. All the welding and grinding is done, and here it is. And let's take a closer look at some of these welds. Looks pretty darn nice there. And what's left to do is to clean it off a little bit more and then put some primer on it and give it a good coat of black paint. And we'll see it underneath of the trailer coming up right now.